Well, gang, here we are with a Valach 120 four-stroke. This is 120cc twin four-cycle engine. It's fully broken in. It's got plenty of runtime on it. Recently, I began having an issue with the stock ignition. And the stock ignition has a safety feature built into it, whereas if you start the engine at anything above a fast idle, it kills the motor and the ignition beeps at you. Beep, 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 beep. I had no idea what this meant because there was no explanation in the owner's manual. I couldn't find anything online, but through many different contacts, I finally did find out through broken English that in fact is what the ignition does. It monitors the RPM upon initial startup, and if the engine is anything over a fast idle, it kills the ignition and the ignition beeps at you. Now, this is ostensibly to protect the person in front of the aircraft from having a spinning propeller ram into them. Sounds like a good idea. I would venture to say that if you're starting a 120cc engine with a giant propeller and you don't have the airplane securely tied down or someone holding it, perhaps in that scenario, Darwin should emerge victorious. But be that as it may, my stock ignition began to just shut off the engine intermittently and beep at me. It did not seem to correlate with starting the engine at above a fast idle. It would just quit and then be beeping. And so I decided to replace the ignition with a C&H. I contacted Adrian at C&H Ignitions. He was very helpful. He set me up with all the pieces and parts I needed. This was not a plug and play. I actually had to figure out the timing of the engine and more or less assemble the ignition spark plug caps. It was actually a lot of fun, a little intimidating, but with his instructions and his guidance, it was actually quite easy. And I'm very pleased with the results. One thing I really like about this ignition too, over the stalker, is it has this tach output. So, I mean, I've been trying to tack my engines, and I have been struggling with tachometers that the batteries don't work, the tachometers fail, or you just can't see the display in the sunlight. So I really like this RCXL mounted tachometer. And it's just one less thing to hold on to when you're trying to start the engine. So we'll see how she runs. I am going to use a glove, not because I'm afraid of any kickback, but this engine has so much compression, it is hard on the fingers. I'm also going to use some ear protection, which I have neglected to use over the years and probably will pay the price for it at some point, but it's never too late. So I'm going to stop the camera for a second here and don my protective gear and then fire it up again. So I'm all geared up. We have a warm engine, and let's see if it starts. Nice idle, nice reliable idle. We'll see how she throttles up and what we achieve at full throttle. This is a huge propeller, by the way. It's at the top end of what they recommend for this engine. This is a big 3210 axial scale prop for my Hopper DR1 third scale, but the engine seems to have no problem with it. Nice flywheel effect for idle also. So, I'm very happy with my CNH ignition conversion. It was a lot of fun, and I highly recommend this for anybody who is having an ignition issue. Also, maybe I mentioned this already, I love the fact that it plugs into the tach. So yeah, if you have any ignition issues, give Adrian a call at CNH. He's very helpful and a tribute to the modeling community.